Welcome to Pario magazine, where I chat with individuals who have a desire to create. Today, I'm joined by a dancer who has shared the stage with the likes of Katy Perry, Cher, The Wiggles, The Veronicas, Baz Luhrmann, and Rebel Wilson. Welcome to Pario magazine, Sophie Holloway.
Thank you so much for having me. Wow. When you put it like that, I forget that I've done all of those cool things.
Yeah, very cool. So, we're here today to chat about your dance journey and the upcoming show, Burn the Floor, which will sort of see you touring all around the country in August and September. Before we dive into that, though, do you want to tell our audience who Sophie is away from the dance floor?
Oh, away from the dance floor. I actually like to pride myself on the fact that the bubbly personality that I am comes out in my dancing. So I'm very outgoing and very go-getter kind of human. I suppose that's probably why I've been able to make this hobby of mine an actual career because I'm such a go type of human. Everybody's always telling me also if you need a break, but I always say I get paid to do what I love and my passion, so it never really feels like work. Um, but definitely a fast-paced, energetic kind of human, and not very good at slowing down. So I that's actually one of my goals this year, but I've just signed up to the Burn the Floor tour, so I don't know I'll be slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah, maybe not the best way to slow down a little bit.
Exactly. I suppose yeah, I guess the dancer that I am is the human that I am, and I pride myself on the fact that I'm an authentic artist, and that is the person that you see on the dance floor.
Brilliant. So, how and when did you first discover this passion for dance?
I've been dancing since the age of 3. I suppose my dad always says, he liked to dance around with me in the lounge room, and then they were like, "Let's put her into lessons." And then one thing led to another. And when I was about 7, my parents realized that I had a little bit of talent, so they moved me to a more serious dancing school. And from then on, it was just like live and breathe, dancing all day after school and on the weekends. And then I went to Newtown High School, the Performing Arts, from year 7 to 12 to try to take my dancing a little bit more to the next level. I just adored going to that Performing Arts school. I feel like I was in the movie Fame all the time. Like there was, it's really hard to describe, but that also definitely helped keep my love and passion for the craft because I was living and breathing it every day while still doing my academics. And then once I graduated from year 12, it was the classic like, what do you do with your life now? Do you go to uni? Do you travel overseas? Do you find a full time dance course? Like, so that was difficult. Like I feel for most 17, 18-year-olds who are trying to figure out that step in their life, moving into adulthood, especially within the performing arts industry. It's a tricky one to navigate. Don't always know exactly what the right choice is, but I guess I believe there isn't a right choice. It's just your journey. And I took mine straight overseas to work for Carnival Cruise Lines, actually. So I booked a job overseas and I thought, why not? Let's get out of Australia and see what else is out there. And I felt pretty independent and ready to go. So that was like a tiny little like stepping stone in my career. And I feel like I've really just taken everything to the next level, one step after, with all the things that I've achieved, which I'm very grateful for, all the support that I've always had. And I think I've just always wanted something bigger, something more, something different, something to challenge me. Um, so after I did a couple of years on the cruise ship, I was also lucky enough to be doing things like starring in The Great Gatsby, Baz Luhrmann's film, when I was just in year 12 at school. That kind of opened my eyes as well. Got to be a featured performer in that. And then TV shows like Dance Academy and things like that that were happening at the time. So I was working professionally from quite a young age. I guess that's why when I was 18 and I wanted to go overseas, it wasn't so scary, because I
Mhm.
felt like I'd already kind of dipped my foot in the pool a little bit in the professional world as a young dancer. And yeah, then when I was 20 years old, I went to New York City and auditioned for the Radio City Rockettes for the Christmas Spectacular, which is a massive American icon. And I was lucky enough to secure a spot with the company, and I worked in New York City for the Christmas season for us over a span of 8 years, going
Wow.
back and forth from Sydney to New York. So I worked in the Christmas Spectacular from, September till January every year, which at that time in New York City is one of the biggest tourist attractions. It's like Disneyland pretty much. It's the Christmas at Radio City Music Hall is what everybody comes, locals and tourists come to watch. And I was a part of such an American tradition. And that also obviously exposed me to greater audiences. In Australia, our audiences are quite small. I mean, the ones that do come to watch the shows here are very supportive and do love the arts, but there's certainly more people at a football game in this country than there is at the theatre.
Mhm.
So I suppose the coolest part about being overseas was seeing how much support and how many more people spend their time and money on the creative arts and going to see shows, especially in New York, obviously. And then while I was doing the Rocket stint, I was coming back and forth to Australia and still trying to work as a commercial dancer here in Sydney, especially. So that's when I got the opportunity to work with people like Katy Perry and Cher when they came out to Australia, and I auditioned to be one of their dancers and got to perform in gigs and appearances with them. And I've been lucky enough to recently last year was contacted by Burn the Floor, and they were interested in having me a part of the company. And honestly, I've done so many different kinds of styles of dance and so many, variations in live performances, television, like consistent contracted work. But the Burn the Floor feeling is honestly like no other. I feel like it's one of the only shows where you are celebrated as yourself. You're not playing an ensemble member that's a part of a story. You're not conforming to being a precision dancer like you are in the Rockettes, where everybody, has to be the same. In Burn the Floor, you are celebrated as the human that you are, and I feel like it's such a special moment for me. I've just turned 30, and it's kind of a point in my career where I finally have worked so hard to stand on my own 2 feet and just be proud and represent myself and my own skills and not always have to conform to something that's, fits a brief. So I'm so grateful that Burn the Floor has come to me at this time. I couldn't feel, any more celebrated, which is a really special feeling for an artist. You're always worrying that you're not good enough, or you need to be something that you're not, or you need to be better in this style or this skill. And Burn the Floor celebrates, everything, all the gifts that all of the cast members have. So when I was lucky enough to join the tour last year, it was a dream come true. I mean, it's a Latin company. Latin and ballroom has always been the style of dance that I idolized because it was the one that I'd done the least training in. So it was kind of that one skill that I thought, oh, that's just incredible what they do. Like, I wish my body could move like that. And I always gave it a go. And I did some casual classes as a young dancer. And then when I started working overseas, I started to dabble a little bit more in the style. But it was just kind of a goal that I always thought was never going to really happen. One of those things that I wasn't going to do because I wasn't as skilled. And like I said, Burn the Floor celebrate everybody for what they are. So they actually brought me on board because they wanted the versatility that I had in styles, and they wanted to bring my jazz and musical theater and commercial dance elements to the Latin and ballroom world. So what a perfect, recipe and match that was for me to be able to learn so much from them and also bring all of my own strengths to the company. So I'm very blessed that I get to do that all over again this year.
Brilliant. So yeah, like, how do you describe the show for people that might not have seen it before? Is that what makes it so special, that it's each individual performer gets up there and they're showing off their skills? They're not, "Oh, I'm this character for this specific
Yes.
performance."
I mean, absolutely. I think number one, the music is just so, we're using Australian artists. So for the audience here, like, they're just ballads and anthems as such for Australians, whether they were songs that your parents played to you when you were young, or whether they're songs that are, on the radio now. I think the fact that we're so patriotic here in Australia and we want to celebrate, Australian artists, and the music, number one, just sets you off straight away. And the live musicians and the live band, I think there's nothing better than hearing live music. And then on top of that, all of the dancers, we all have our own fire. I like to say everyone has their own little fire. And of course, we do ensemble moments and we do unison choreography, and there's all the partnering. But every individual is celebrated and gets to shine in their own light throughout the show. And every dancer kind of has their own section, as per se, where they are celebrated, and all the other dancers, are supporting that. And so it kind of then creates a storyline without it having a story as such, like a musical theater story. It's more like a story where we're taking you through the music, and you're also meeting the performers as we're going through the different styles of music and different artists and songs. You're meeting each performer and seeing them shine in their own light. So that I feel like you're just captivated the whole time watching, because there's nothing ever gets boring, and also you're always watching somebody new.
Okay. Do you have much
There's
sort of creative input into how your specific section is?
we have amazing creatives on board. Georgia Freeman, Alberto Faccio, Robbie Camatoni. They're all the creatives as such. But I think the most beautiful part about Burn the Floor and the way Peter Roby, the director, runs the company is that it is such a collaborative process. So exactly what you said, when it comes to, say, the section that I'm featured in, yes, they set the choreography, and they tell me what the vision is, or what steps they want me to try to include, but there's always room for me to do. They just say, if it feels good on you, it's going to look good. So we want
Mhm.
you to feel good doing the movement, and you just don't get that anywhere. Like, and that there's so much discipline behind this artistry, and especially when you're being employed to be a performer, you have to fit a brief, a storyline. The choreography has to be exactly the way it's been set, especially when you're doing shows that have come from overseas and then they're brought to Australia. There's not really room for them to be changed or altered, because they're trying to withhold a standard from before. So this collaborative process in Burn the Floor is something so special. And like, rehearsals are the best part. Obviously we love performing, but I look back on the rehearsals times together from last year, and that's just where we had the most fun.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense in sort of any creative field where if you feel good doing it, it's gonna come across to the audience.
Exactly, exactly right. And because everybody in the cast is so talented and has skills that other dancers, wish that they had, there's a consistent admiration among the cast. Everybody is so respectful of one another's skills and constantly in awe and inspired by each other, but at the same time, so proud to present their strength. So there's no competition at all between each other, because everybody is admiring something that somebody else has that they don't have. Even with the vocalists and the musicians, like, we just idolize them because we can't play instruments and we can't sing the vocals the way that they do. So, and then they stand every night on stage and play for us and are watching us, and they're a part of our dancing while they're playing the music. In some other shows, especially big musicals, and for example, at the Rockettes, like, the orchestra is below the dancers in the pit. So
Mhm.
they're playing the music, but they're not a part of the performance in the same way that it feels when the live band is on stage with you every night while you're dancing. Like, I'm throwing actions to the drum kit and to the vocalist, like, and including them in my performance and in my dancing, as well as my partner when I'm doing all the Latin and ballroom partnering. It's the kind of show where you don't even feel like the audience is there when you're on stage. They're just watching you have the best time ever for 2 hours or however long the show is. And it's not really, it's about them because we're trying to entertain them, but it's about us because we're just having the time of our lives on stage, and we're hoping that they're watching and admiring what we're doing.
Awesome. And like you mentioned, this is the 25th anniversary of Burn the Floor with a raft of Aussie rock classics. What is it like developing that choreography with songs that wouldn't traditionally be associated with ballroom, jazz, or Latin dance?
Yes. I think that was one of the most what's the word? I was just so taken aback about how we turned some of the songs into dance moments, because I wouldn't always pick to dance to them first up. I think that's the coolest part about Latin and ballroom. There's so many different styles. There's cha-cha, there's rumba, there's samba, there's foxtrot, there's quick step, there's the waltz, and then you're bringing other dancers like myself and Robbie Camatoni and Jackie Chambers into the mix, who are from a completely different world of jazz and musical theatre and contemporary dance. So when you think about it, the possibilities are actually endless in terms of creating the choreography because we are not restricted to one style. So when the music, they play the music to us in rehearsal, there's no restrictions of to what we can do because the cast has so many skills and we get to share them with one another and teach them to each other and come to that collaboration. So at first you may not think that that song is danceable, but then once you put a lead vocalist and a live band on stage and put some super talented dancers, anything's possible.
Awesome. And the theme for the show this year is Dare to Dream. How have you incorporated that theme into your performance?
Well, I think even just saying those words and talking about this with you right now, this was a dream for me to even be a part of this company. A dream, not like one that you think that you're going to get one day because it's like everything that you're working towards. This is a dream where I literally thought, oh, that's a fantasy for me. Like, I'm never going to have those skills to be a part of a Latin ballroom company. And I used to go and watch Burn the Floor as a kid, on the weekend as a hobby with my mom. Like, let's go watch the ballroom show. I'm so fascinated by the way they dance. And so the fact that it's become a reality for me and it wasn't even something that I was necessarily chasing, it's something that came to me. I think that's fate, honestly. And if you don't dream about these things and you don't think about these things possibly happening to you, they never do. So I dare everybody always to have big dreams and to put the things out into the universe because you never know the way that they're going to come back around and land into your lap, I suppose. I will take that feeling out on stage with me every single night because I remember last season, my first season with Burn the Floor, every single night I went on stage, I would pinch myself like, I cannot believe I'm in this show. Like, and you just put that into your performance.
Was that a super surreal moment when you got that phone call? Hey, do you want to be
Yeah.
involved in this show?
Yes, and unfortunately, at first, it was a little bit of a rocky start because my availability wasn't completely free to be a part of the company. So it was like I'd gotten this opportunity, but I was already unavailable for the time. And again, universe things. One job got moved to another date, and another one, got moved, and then all of a sudden, I had the time free, and I didn't even try to change it because I'd already agreed to do something else. So again, it's just one of those things where it was obviously supposed to happen. And and I yeah, that just meant the world to me. I even last season had to come to rehearsals late because I was coming from another job. So I joined the company a week late. So I was already a fish out of water. And on
Mhm.
top of that, I was coming late. So I had to like work extra hard compared to everyone. And I was super nervous. But I teach dancing a lot. And my biggest advice to young students is if something scares you, then you should do it. Because anything scary is worth doing because the way that it feels afterwards when you achieve it just is just like no other feeling. It's better than playing it safe all the time and just doing things that you feel comfortable with. If something scares you, then you should be pushing yourself into it because the way you feel and the confidence it brings and the opportunities that those fearful, scary moments open, is worth a thousand words and a thousand moments.
There's the downside of that, keeping yourself so busy all the time. Sometimes opportunities pop up and it's like, "Oh, how am I gonna fit this in?"
Well, yes, that does happen to me, but at the same time, I do trust my gut a lot. And if something feels right, just like the choreography, if it feels right, it's gonna read right. And I try so hard to never second guess myself. And I think young people probably struggle with that the most nowadays because of the world that we live in. It's so easy to compare yourself and second guess yourself and have a negative attitude towards yourself. And I'm not saying that, everyone needs to have an ego or think that they're the best thing in the world when they're not, but backing yourself and trusting in your gut is something. And I suppose I've had such good support around me always. And my family and friends and my teachers and my fellow classmates and peers have always, supported me and believed in me, and that helps me believe in myself.
So then one of the last questions is this tour sees you hitting all of Australia from major capital cities right down to smaller regional towns. How important is it for you to be able to take a dance show like this to those smaller areas?
Well, like I said earlier, even getting Australians bums on seats at shows just in general is tricky. So the fact that we get to go to those smaller towns, this is something, they're the people that run to the theater because the opportunities that they have are far from, far and few for them to get to the theater, or for something to come to them. So those are the audiences that you never forget. They're the ones that are the loudest, and they're the ones standing at the stage door afterwards wanting to take photos with you and meet you after the show. And the way that audience members feel after they see this show, it's like I feel like I've given them a gift, and I've given them something to think about and talk about for weeks or months to come. So that is so special, and we can feel that from the audiences, especially in the small towns, just how much they appreciate what we're bringing to their town. It's also a great way for me to see Australia. So I'm
Mhm.
definitely, very pleased to be able to tour, places that I wouldn't normally go or have time to see. And then I get to share them with my castmates as well, when we have time off, which is kind of rare because the tour is go, go, go. But when we do have time off or a night off to go and have dinner together, or a morning to go and find a nice cafe, like, they're some of the most fun times on tour, when the cast gets together and we go and explore the town that we're in. So it's a win-win for all, I think. Everybody's getting entertained, and I'm getting to see Australia, and everybody's getting something out of it. So, and then, of course, the major cities are super special when we get to go to them. My parents live in Queensland, so I get to perform for them, in Queensland a few times, and then they'll come down to Sydney and watch me at the Opera House as well. Because what a pinnacle moment for the tour to end at the Sydney Opera House. I've actually performed there, but not since I was very young, with Newtown High School Performing Arts. So I'd be really excited to get back there. And I go to shows all the time at the Opera House, but I cannot wait to be able to perform in one, especially being so proud of, this company and what I've achieved.
Fantastic. So finally, where is the best place for people to support you and track your creative journey moving forward?
Oh, that's so kind of you. You can follow me on Instagram. That's probably the biggest platform. It's at Sophie Holloway _. I'll leave it for you to put in. And then I have a website, but otherwise, Instagram is a big place. I'm posting videos of dancing all the time, and my choreography and my teaching and my personal projects. And I'll be posting a lot when we're on tour with Burn the Floor on there, so you can get a behind the scenes look at everything that we're doing all the time when we're traveling around Australia. And I can't wait to see you all at the show.
Brilliant. And then, yeah, I'm just trying to check. The tickets for the show are burnthefloor.com. Nice and easy.
Burnthefloor.com, get your tickets there. Come and see us more than once, because you'll want to, I promise. Come and see us in a different city or at a different theatre. It's almost a different show every time you see it, because all of the theatres change. That's another amazing part about it. It's always constantly growing and evolving, because every theatre is different, and every audience is different.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me, and good luck with the tour.
No worries. Thank you.